Welcome, everybody. Just letting everybody in. Get comfortable, grab some water, and we're going to begin shortly. We'll begin in about a minute. I'll also continue to let people in as they come in. But we have a jam-packed itinerary for everybody today. And so I want to be able to use the most of our time together. Derek, are you ready to begin?
Yeah, I'm ready. Are we ready to go?
Yeah, let me just.
Are we still letting people in or?
Oh yeah, I'm going to be letting people in, but we can start because it is 7 o'clock.
Okay.
7. Let me just quiet this music.
Okay. We're ready to go?
Yep, you're ready to go.
Okay. At first, I want to thank everybody for taking the time out this evening for the GP Speaker Series. Me and Kimberly are really excited about what it is that we've put together here for you. And we have some amazing guests, two sports moms who are going to really give us some great insight about what this journey and what this process looks like when looking to pursue athletics at a high level and how it is that you can achieve it and what the steps are and what those steps look like. So I'm really excited for us to be able to bring this to you guys and bring some really great information.
Okay. Well, I'm going to introduce our panelists. I'm going to read a little bit, I'm going to read from their bios, okay? You have two amazing ladies who are here with us. The first person I'm going to introduce is Yasmin Hurston Cornelius. Say hi. Yasmin is a dedicated and innovative leader, known for her unwavering commitment to inclusion and public service. Currently serving as the Senior Vice President of Community Affairs at LMN Development Partners, she has been instrumental in spearheading community engagement efforts in construction, acquisition, and preservation projects. Yasmin's role as the Chief Resident Officer underscores her deep dedication to enhancing the quality of life for over 40,000 households across New York City, New Jersey, and Chicago. Her extensive experience and expertise have been pivotal in driving meaningful change and fostering sustainable community development. Yasmin's extensive experience in the private and public sector, including her previous roles at the Local Initiative Support Corporation, New York State Senator Majority Conference, and the Manhattan Borough President Office, has undoubtedly equipped her with a deep understanding of community engagement, government relations, and housing finance. Her ability to cultivate working relationships with resident associations, nonprofit organizations, business partners, elected officials, and other key stakeholders speaks to her diplomatic skills and collaborative approach in driving positive change and sustainable development. Her current affiliations with the Fordham University Real Estate Institute's Executive Advisory Council, the African American Day Parade in Harlem, New York, Osborne Association, and Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, New York Alumni Chapter, further illustrate her commitment to community involvement and advocacy for social justice. Moreover, her recognition through various awards and accolades underscores the impactful contributions she has made in advancing social justice and fostering community impact throughout her impressive career. Yasmin's commitment to community extends beyond her professional work. She is a proud Harlem resident and devoted mother to her sons. Ooh, to Chuka? Oh my God, I did that wrong again. Please help me out.
Shayuka.
Tayuka and Ajani. Tayuka is a real estate professional focused on construction and property management, while Ajani is a standout student athlete at the University of Oregon. Despite facing early obstacles, Ajani's remarkable journey from a no-star high school recruit to the highest graduated returning right tackle in college football embodies the power of resilience and hard work. Yasmin's family roots and personal investments in the well-being of her neighborhood exemplify her holistic approach to uplifting the communities she serves. And now I will love to introduce Dr. Sabratha Thomas, who is a DNP. She has to tell me what that means. An RN and a New York Academy of Medicine Fellow. Dr. Sabratha Thomas is the Senior Director of Nursing Services at Felician University. She has 10 plus years of experience in academia as faculty, as well as in multiple academic leadership roles. An educator and enthusiast of new and innovative technology for integration into the classroom, she functions as a conduit and applies theory and resources for students to maximize their learning experiences as they transition to practice. She works to enhance the leadership experience to prepare nursing students for their transition into the workplace. A leader in healthcare and community health for 20 plus years, she developed programs to provide outreach and education for socioeconomically disadvantaged populations throughout the metropolitan area for over 20,000 residents. Nursing professional with 14 years of progressive acute care experience, including interim director of patient experience and privacy officer, nurse manager, and an orthopedic registered nurse. She received her doctorate of nursing practice, oh, there goes that DNP, degree from Rutgers University. And she is a fellow with the New York Academy of Medicine. Sabratha's soulmate and husband, Earl, of 29 years, is her rock. And they have 6 children. You got Brian, Ashton, RJ, Nicholas, Tyler, and Parker. Her children played elite basketball throughout their sports career, from elementary school through elite basketball programs in high school, including the St. Benedict's in Newark, New Jersey, Phillips Andover High School in Boston, and the IMG Academy in Florida. The opportunity of playing at an elite level so young positioned her children, including Ashton, at Penn State football. He was a transfer at cardiac medical system technician. Oh, he is a cardiac medical system technician. RJ, who went to the New Jersey College University, where he played men's basketball, and he graduated as an entrepreneur and a firefighter. Nick, who is in Boston College. Right now, he plays football. He's a senior. Tyler, who is in Northwestern University, where she plays women's basketball, and she's a freshman. And Parker, little baby Parker, who's 9 years old, coming up at the rear playing basketball at the Gauchos. Dr. Thomas recently partnered with a longtime best friend of over 30 years to create Two Sports Moms, providing support to individuals and their families as they work to gain insight into decision making in every aspect of their athletic and academic journey. Now, just to let you know, her favorite pastime is being a certified yoga instructor. So this lady is doing a lot, which is amazing. And she teaches every Monday. She plugging it in here, y'all. So listen up. Every Monday at 5:45 a.m. So she knows what it's like to get that early start. Okay. And her motto is, you can't pour from an empty cup. The time is now. So with that, I bring to you our two esteemed panelists, Ms. Yasmin Cornelius and Dr. Subrata Thomas. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Kimberly, for such a warm welcome. A special thank you to Gorilla Prince Athletics for pulling this event together. We are definitely honored to be here. Derek, we know you're out there. Thank you so much for pulling us into this event. We are very excited to share what we have learned over the years, what we think might help others in helping them to create a level of blueprint, something that we did not have, but something that on the other side of this was created for us, allowing us to be here this evening and share with you. So thank you again.
All right, ladies. Yasmin, did you want to say anything before we start? Okay, so we got some questions for you, okay? The questions are open for the both of you. Whichever one wants to jump in and answer, please feel free to do so, okay? First one, we're going to talk about background and early journey. We're going to set the stage for what it is that we're going to talk about. You heard a little bit about Dr. Subrata's children and what they accomplished, but I would like to know a little bit about your children's early interests in sports. Can you share a little bit about that?
Sure. So my husband, I think he was kind of the inspiration behind a lot of this. We have a very competitive family, and he played basketball all through his childhood career up to him getting a scholarship for Skidmore College, where he played men's basketball. So that kind of set the stage. And, you know, back when he was playing, he was in a lot of newspaper articles. He played a lot of competitive circuits. So it, I think, sparked my youngest son, and youngest just in terms of the one who was right in line, RJ. He played basketball, and he started at a rec level. That recreational ball, we didn't know much at that time, so we didn't get that whole AAU. This is the difference. He needs to be in a competitive environment in order to progress. But what we did value was the fact that he needed to train. You know, that was very important to us. So we started to put him into positions where he would get the training. And so when we would show up, he would probably, I could say modestly, be one of the better players out on that rec circuit. And then finally, once we kind of learned a little bit more as we went along, we figured, okay, let us position him. When we found that he was a little bit more serious about it, let us position him in a place where now, you know, maybe we can look at competition as something we're in the direction that we wanted to go. So we found St. Benedict's Prep in Newark, New Jersey, one of the best basketball programs around at that time. And that's state to state. They competed on a national stage. So they had all of the bells and whistles and some really great coaches that helped to position Randy. And his next journey was New Jersey College University in Jersey City, where he played men's basketball. And just to fast forward, I have Nicholas, who was interesting. He played 4 sports, baseball, he played football, and he did track. And I'm sure there was another one in that I can't remember. But at a very young age, he was already competing with Randy. So, but he kept his hands in a lot of different sports. And at that point, we knew that he needed to be on a more competitive stage. So we did bring him into the city, but we hooked up with some people. Again, they had this blueprint. They weren't sharing it, but we found out, just listening, ear hustling, trying to get in on edges, you know, a good next move for him. So he ended up at Fessenden, which is a boarding school in Boston. His trajectory kept him in that space, but he was interesting. He played basketball. That's what got him to Fessenden. But once he was in, his passion for football was there as well. So he played dual sports. He then went to Andover, the second highest academic institution in terms of high schools across the country. Again, he played basketball, but he also found himself on the football field. COVID hit. We had some offers, things dried up. It wasn't as lucrative as we knew it would be if it wasn't COVID, but there was a football coach who had been watching him. Now I tell you, we invested a lot of our money in basketball his whole life, his whole career. But when we got to this point, and there were no offers on that end or offers that we would consider, football was the leading offer, and that was at Boston College. And so that's where he ended up, at Boston College, because equally as important as the sport is the academics.
Right.
So we know that there's life beyond this sport, and that ball, one or the other, will take you into a space where you could now, you know, have options, which is what we always want for our kids. Fast forward to Taylor. Taylor started in gymnastics, and then once she stopped the cartwheels, she decided to pick up the basketball. Again, competitive. Saw her brothers doing it. And it was interesting. At a young age, her thing was, you know, I want to go to the NBA. I was like, no, you mean WNBA? She said, no, Mom. I want to go to the NBA. I was like, okay, fine. Who knew that we do probably have men in the WNBA? I don't know. We're not getting into that conversation. I'm digressing. But she continued to play. And again, on a very high elite level with really good basketball. And at that point, we really had a great blueprint of what was required. So, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. And I don't want to talk too long, but she went into basketball. She played at Immaculate Conception and was really a town hero. She broke records. She put a team on her back, carried them through championships and things like that. And it was really nice to see her flourish in this space. But we knew at a certain point, you know, she needed more. So when preparation meets opportunity, which is what happened with us, and she actually got the nod for IMG Academy, we took that and ran with it, right? So to Florida, here we go. And thereafter, we changed AAU teams, but we had some amazing coaches along the way. And finally, we got to a program that really helped her to grow that final inch that she needed. And IMG Academy did pour a lot into her in terms of resources. So after that, we did our due diligence, and now she's at Northwestern University in Chi-Town. So long journeys. And then my little Parker, he's my basketball star. He's still at home. He's only 9, but he knows everything about football, but he's a pretty good basketball player. So I'm thinking he may have this same road, the same path. So that in a nutshell, I think I summed up my group, but lots of competition, lots of training, lots of practice, lots of commitment and dedication. And we're here.
That's great to hear. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Yasmin, did you want to chime in?
Yeah, Yasmin. Let's hear Yasmin's story. Sure.
Yeah, thank you. And also, again, thanks again for inviting us. And I see more and more people are joining. I hope you find this information resourceful and useful. So both of my sons started in sports. I think what happens is I was just trying to make sure my sons had something to do. So we did sports and we did music. And so we started in Harlem-based programs, Harlem Little League. And then we moved on. While we were doing that, we went to this school called they were doing Harlem School of the Arts. That's like an arts program. And so I was really just trying to figure out where talents were and where they were interests lying. And then whatever popped, then we would put all our resources behind them accordingly. Turns out my oldest son decided he liked music, so he stayed on the music path. But my youngest son decided to go into football. So Chiuka music, now he's into producing as well as real estate. And Johnny decided he wanted to continue in, thank you, Harlem. He wanted to continue in sports. Then he decided he wanted to go in soccer because that was a little bit more active. You know, he wanted to keep moving around. And then he said, I want to try football. So, you know, I'm like, football, New York, what are we doing? You know, and so just so happens that a good friend of mine in politics was a coach in Harlem Jets, a program called Harlem Jets. I was like, yo, how do I do this? You know, what's going on? He was like, well, just bring him over. And so he had to be like about 9 years old, and he started in Harlem Little League. And, you know, he was big for his age, so he always played up. He was very big, so he was in like a Mighty Might, you know what I mean? He was in, and back then it was AYF. So he was in those, they would win all these games and then get to go to Florida for the Florida championship games. And that was an incredible opportunity. And it was fun, right? And so we always kept fun in this, right? So not only did he have fun, but he started having friends that all had the same interests. By the time he got to 8th grade, all these high schools started looking at him, and it was high schools outside of our community. And it was weird because it was Catholic schools. And, you know, we went to public, you know, he went to public school over here in Harlem, Upper West Side. But then you started having all these Catholic schools that had football teams interested. And he wound up going to Archbishop Stepinac High School in Westchester. And there we had an incredible time. At that school, he was able to meet a lot of folks that wound up going into higher level colleges. In addition to that, he got to play against his other colleagues that were former, you know, teammates from Harlem Jets. So they would be playing all over. They played Iona, they play at Hayes, they play at Christ the King, you know, all those different schools. And he had opportunity to win 2 championships. And I would say that he did extremely well. He wound up being the best O-lineman. He was granted or awarded the best lineman of New York State.
Wow.
And so that was great, and we're very happy. We were very happy for him. But along with all that, we also knew that he had to prepare for a higher level. When you are in school playing, sometimes it's more than just blocking, right? You also have to understand how to stance, how to do the kick set. My son is a lineman, so he had to also learn skills. So that was a level of investment that we also put into him, where he would go and get training, actually in Jersey and even in Maryland, where we had specified skill trainers to assist him, not only for him playing at his school, but then when he went to go to camps and things like that for colleges, he understood the assignment. He understood what he needed to look prepared. In addition to that, Johnny also would train and learn skills such as agility and speed. And so he was having speed trainings with DBs, just so he understood what it took. And Johnny's like 300 and something pounds. And so all this was something to experience. And we can go further along about his college life, but he really came from New York being heavily under-recruited. He started as like 7 offers from small D1s, FCS schools. And out of them, he wound up going to the University of Rhode Island. He stayed at the University of Rhode Island for 3 years. And after his 3rd year, after reshaping and working on his body, changing his nutrition, because it had to start from him within, he decided to go into the transfer portal, going into the transfer portal, he was well coveted, and he wound up getting about 25 offers from various Power 5 schools, and he decided to go to the University of Oregon, which is where he is now, and he's entering in his 5th year as a senior, coming in August.
Amazing. It's an amazing journey. You know, it just shows that where you start is not necessarily where you're going to end up, you know, and so I wanted to talk to you a little bit, and you touched on it, about how you supported and nurtured your children. I heard a lot about, you know, the financial commitment, you know, pouring all of your resources that you needed to into your children because you understood what it took. It wasn't just about, you know, playing. You had to train. I heard you talk about nutrition, heard you talk about academics, you know, all of those components play an integral part in the successes that your children achieve, you know. Were there any moments, you know, during these journeys, you know, for these, what, 7, 6, 7, 8 children, that either you or them were like, you know, I'm done, I'm burned out, I don't want to do this anymore, you know, that can be a real thing that people experience, like, yo, I don't know how we're going to continue to do this. You know, can you touch a little bit on the struggles that you may have experienced?
Yes.
Yeah, well, there was one time, whereas he decided that he didn't want to do it anymore, and he was very young. It was like early on, and you know, there's a level of commitment, and there's a level of commitment that goes with this. It's financial, of course, from the parents, and it's the emotional support from the parent, but for the child, there's a level of commitment that is every day. It's a commitment of understanding that some of your friends will be doing something different than you are. They're playing, they're hanging out, they're playing, they're eating what they want. That's a little different from what you have to do if you want to be better. And so, like, at one point, I mean, Saturday mornings wasn't, you know, because he couldn't watch cartoons. He couldn't do those things. And so I think one day he just said, I don't want to do this anymore. And so I think the thing about being a parent is supporting your child, but also not allowing them to quit unless if it's for a good reason.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not allowing them to quit. And so quitting is unacceptable in our family, right? Now, changing your mind to do something different and having a discussion about it and having a really good argument, we do all that in our family, right? But quitting, just to say, nah, we had to do a little bit better than that. And so instead of him just quitting, I said, okay, if you don't want to do it, let's at least go to your team and tell them that you're not going to be there. It's a team sport. And this also was in conjunction of speaking to his coaches, because his coach is like, where is he? We need him, you know? And so I don't know if he knew this now, maybe he knows it now, but I mean, we brought him to the field, and he then went and told his teammates that he wasn't going to play. And then his teammates just confronted him. It was like, well, what else are you going to do if you don't do this? Like, what are you going to be doing? Like, we need you. And it was then a feeling of him understanding that he was a part of something. I think it was him understanding that it was bigger than just football. You know, I think sometimes we look at team sports as just an outlet for like maybe an opportunity for another career or something like that. But team sports also deals with leadership and family. And so he realized he had a family here. And it's not that easy to leave family, right? And so as soon as he decided he was going to do it, then I said, all right, then we just going to do it. And so I think my support for him overall was I believed in anything that he said he wanted to do. And I wasn't going to, once he set his goal and understood his why, and we could discuss that later on, but once he understood what his why was, then I felt it was my job to make sure that he continued on that path.
Yeah. Dr. Thomas, what about you and any challenges that you may have come to with, you know, with Nick or any of the other kids, something close to that?
Well, I think there were a lot of times when, for me, I was ready to give up because it's a lot of responsibility, it's a lot of commitment, it's a lot of investment. And I felt strongest about that when we would go, we travel, we get to a game, and my child was not putting out what I thought and what I knew he had the potential, or she had the potential to put out. So my biggest thing was the constant rah-rahing around, you know, you have one time to make a first impression. That's it. So when you get out there, you need to make sure you put your best foot forward. And if we're going to do this, because I gave them a lot of opportunities to just say, no, this is not something I want to do, because I never wanted it to feel like it was me pushing them, which is a little bit different, or my husband pushing them, but we really wanted them to find that passion, because that commitment at the end of the day had to come from within. So it was about, yeah, you have a certain level of surrender, but at the same time, you know, you want to continue to support them. But we had struggles along the way with different kids, different things. They're hard workers at the end of the day. So that commitment piece again, and the investment was what kept us driving this bus, literally, as we are the Ubers, but driving the bus to get them from point A to point B, to invest, to, you know, make sure they're out there for training. We were like, for this journey, we've been all over the place. Parker did a project and had to talk about the different states that he had visited. And I was amazed when I looked back at his project. I was like, yeah, you have been all of those places, and even before you were here. But it was just that commitment. So I don't think at the end of the day, quitting for them was an option as much as just finding their way, and that continued support. I think the backbone of just being there, and it sounds like Yasmin, same thing, you know, just being there for your child. And the more they could internalize that support, I feel like the more it was a driving force in what they ended up doing. And so it does get hard, and you know, but we keep pushing. And again, the surrender is always there. And I am so blessed with my children, as Yasmin is. We have kids who have a balance of academics and sports. Mm-hmm. So, you know, the plan B is built in, because if my kids, if that ball stops bouncing, if there's an injury, whatever, we have a plan B that's put into place. And that's something, if I had to give some advice, a pearl drop here is always, and from the beginning, start with your plan B. Nobody wants to hear that in the very beginning, because we're all going, moving, chasing this, chasing that. And all of that's great. But you also need to hone in on what else your child is gifted in, what other things they can do, because a lot of times you need them to come to that downtime where they can actually be themselves, find their identity, and also understand that life, yes, is about sports, but there is also another opportunity to be great. You know, it's not just on the field or on the court, there's other opportunities. So I don't know if I answered that question, but that's what I felt like saying. You know,
listen, as a mom of 6 children, you have every right to answer what you want when you want.
Is what it is.
Yeah, so we appreciate that. We appreciate that. Yasmin touched a little bit on why, like the why, which is the thing that drives this this vehicle. Can you talk a little bit about why developing a why is important, and how did your children, if you can talk for your children, how did they develop, or how did y'all as a family develop your whys? I know that's a monkey wrench one, so it's okay.
I'm sorry, say it again.
I said, no, that was a monkey wrench question, but
Okay,
it just
Hey,
came in
yeah.
there.
That's all right. Boom, boom, right? And
that's
so,
good.
yeah. Sabratha, you want to go or?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So, how do you develop the why? I think the best way to answer that is to, I mean, always start from a goal and work backwards, right? In many things. Ajani had different whys depending on the area or the level that he was at. You know, I mean, I think at the end of the day, every sport, every athlete wants to be in the pro area of where they want to go, and so his main goal has always been NFL, and he was always encouraged to want to say that early on in life, just so he would continue his focus. Now, his degree is in business. However, he feels that, he's going to be an entrepreneur, after he's a pro athlete and God willing, But the why is not necessarily of just being that athlete, but what does it take to be that person? You have to do well in school because you got to get into a great school. To get into that school, you got to have an excellent SAT score. To be an athlete, you got to have that eye candy, right? You got to have your body right. You have to be in shape. You got to be strong. You got to understand what it takes to get into the weight room. You have to have good character, and you have to be kind. You have to understand what it takes to be a team player as well as be a leader. And all that being said, even a little bit more of he wants to inspire people, right? We were talking about that the other day. What does that mean? So his thing is he wants to give back to his community, and he wants other young people, young boys and girls, to look at him and see his path and know that they can do it too. So his why is from every level of understanding what does it take to be there, and then how do you live off the land, if you will, to be able to succeed accordingly. And so again, the best thing you can be as a parent, because sometimes you have a lot of parents that live vicariously through their child, and the best thing to be a parent is, and supportive in this case, is to understand what your child is. Of course, be the number one cheerleader, but then to support their efforts. I find myself at times managing, being an assistant, making sure that his life is okay, so he is well rounded, but more importantly, it's easy for him to be able to focus on his other stuff. Does that mean that he doesn't clean his room? Does that mean he didn't wash dishes? Of course he did. But all that being said, he still was able to, we were able to make life easier. So like, for instance, when he needed to be picked up after practice, we made sure we could pick him up after practice because we knew he'd be tired. We would just do certain things to ensure that whatever his why was, we were all on the same page, I would say, for that. And I think that's the best thing as a parent in supporting your child, is to understand and know your child. And, again, living vicariously is not enough, but also knowing the strengths and the challenges of your child. So then you can support them accordingly. Sometimes we're also delusional, right? And being delusional as a parent, it's very hard for us to give the child the proper support that they need to succeed. And so I think that's what I've always been about, being very honest and understanding about my child's needs, being able to receive compliments as well as criticism, and then seeing and sorting out the resources to correct anything that's out there that needs to be corrected.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No,
That
that's
was
great.
powerful.
Yeah. That's great.
That was powerful. Let's see, what else can we talk about? We did have some audience questions. We did ask the audience who pre-registered, if there was anything that they wanted to.
Let's go.
All right, so I had a question. How do you know who to trust with your child's future? And the mom was, asking about schools, coaches. There are a lot of individuals that play a role in the trajectory that your children are on. They say it takes a village to raise these children. How, as families, did you figure out who you can trust with your child's trajectory? Somebody that wasn't going to exploit them for their talents, people who are going to support them, put you in the right places, put you in front of the right people, put you in front of the right opportunities. How did you develop that sense in order for your children to achieve, the successes that they achieved?
I have to say that, I mean, I have to give all credit on that to my husband. His name's Earl, by the way. He monitored this process. So who do you trust? That answer for me is no one.
Okay.
What you have to be is prepared, and you have to prepare yourself with questions. You have to do your homework, that due diligence. You want to have multiple conversations with the individual that you're going to leave your child in that person's care. You got to have multiple conversations so you can get an opportunity to observe them, not necessarily what they say, but what they do. You're observing, when you think about an organization, you're observing the culture of that organization. Is that a good fit? What type of coaches are there? Is there a balance in that coaching staff, the coaching styles? I know that there were times when I have a coach just beat my child down. And then when they come home, I have to lick all the wounds. My husband we have to give them pep talks and all of this other stuff to undo what that coach tried to do. And helping them to develop that mental toughness at a very young age, but navigating and understanding that is setting up the blueprint for what this life is going to give you. Talking to current parents on the team. You want to get to the end of the bench where that kid is not getting any playing time, and really try to get close enough to them so you can ask them questions, or even ask the coach, can I have a conversation with that child who's not getting that playing time? Because you want to figure out what the resilience is, and again, what the support systems are on that bench or in that field. You want to make sure you attend practices. You look at what the game is like. You look at the temperament of the coaches while in the games. I mean, I get the high energy, in your face, yelling, screaming, but there always needs to be some level of balance. You want to make sure you're placing your kid in that right environment, and you calculate your moves, because it's not about what the coach wants. For me, for our family, it really is what my kid needs. So it's figuring out what that balance is. And sometimes it's 80-20. It's not always 50-50, but we can give and take as long as as long as the reciprocation happens for both sides of the fence. Early on, you have to pay to train. That's a big thing. You have to position your kid in the right space, and so that they do have that look, so that they are ready again for when the opportunity the preparation meets that opportunity. You have to make that investment. However, understanding that there should be a return on the investment. You're not just pouring into something in a blind way. Holding your child accountable as you, again, looking at that balance. You're looking at the team, you're looking at the coaches, you're holding the kid accountable, making sure that he's putting forth the effort that is required. Elite sports is something that's different. You have to prepare your child in a different way. But you also want to make sure that on the receiving end, there's going to be that nurturing from the coach's side of that fence. So if I had to say, how do you position yourself? It's with a lot of information, a lot of courage, because you are advocating for your child. But you also have to make sure that when you're not around, your child has the tools to advocate for themselves. And if it doesn't feel right, if it's uncomfortable for too long, you have to be okay to bow out. It's okay to say, I need a different situation. It's okay.
Right. Yeah, if I can add to that,
Please.
in regards to how do you know who to trust, right? It just because it's sports, it's active parenting, right? It's active parenting. And so just as you are active with your child in school, you should take the same notion of being active. And now let me just say, maybe a lot of people don't like parents being active in sports because sometimes it's a line to cross, right? It's a line to walk, but it's a way to be active as well as supportive of the team's organization or the school, and making sure that your child's interests are taken in consideration. I think the best example for me, especially if you think about if the school is the right school, right? Because there's different levels of trust. There's the coaching, there's the school, and then when you get to another level, it's even the agent, right? So let's talk about the school. I always look, is this school, is he going to want to be here like in that day where it's like raining and it's maybe a snowstorm and it's a Wednesday, sports are over, and he didn't do well on a test and he's not feeling good? Is he going to still want to be in this space? You know? And that's a question that I ask myself every time we look at a school or an environment. Or if something was to happen, if it was COVID and there was no school, right? It was nothing, but rather no sports was happening. Is he going to still be able to want to go to this school? You know? And, you know, that's the question that you ask yourself. And then then I ask other questions like, does this person have similar morals or values? Because you do learn that, because when you start talking to the coaches or you know, the assistant coach or the head coach, you kind of get an idea or energy. You talk to them and you kind of get the feel that they have the same understanding of development as your child. But I think that, you know, Subrata really touched on a lot of it is about, you know, if someone's appreciative of your investment, right? You can't tell me all these years I brought my child and I helped my child, I got him all the way here, and then all of a sudden it's like, all right, you can leave now, we got it. There has to be a collective perspective of understanding that this is a village. And you find usually if the school or the coaches get it right, parents will step aside and let them do it. You know, it's only when you feel like your child who cannot advocate fully for themselves that you can just feel it in their energy that they may be taken advantage of, that you just feel like you want to say something and have to say it. But I feel that it takes a while. You'll know if you can trust, but there's certain key questions that you have to ask yourself and ask your child, and they answer those questions internally, as well as, you know, you might have a little paper that you jot out all the things that check the box, and if they answer that, then that you feel probably a lot better to move on in that direction.
Okay, so trust no one. Be prepared.
Nope.
Trust the process.
There you go. Your
Yeah.
process.
Yeah. Yep.
There was one other question that we had, and I'm not quite sure how it fits in to everything that we're doing, but I'm going to ask it anyway. One of our registered participants wanted to know, did you have any recommendations for a walk-on athlete?
Mm-hmm.
Like how to do it?
I think so, yeah, because it just said recommendations for walk-on athletes. So I'm going to allow us to answer that how it feels in our hearts. Yes.
Well, I have one of my children who, when they arrived at school, this is a long time ago, they were asked to catch the balls for the seniors, you know, the varsity folks. And my kid was like, I'm not running after balls. I'm not doing that. That's not why I'm here. I'm here to play. And it reminds me of that in this way. Coaches are watching. They watch everything you do. They watch everything you say. They're watching your body language. So when you think about a walk-on, which is very different than what Yaz and I have dealt with, you know, recruitment versus a walk-on, that level of humility, that level of willing to prove yourself, I think, is more on display
Mm,
for that type of a situation. So the first one in the gym, last one out of the gym, willing to do things that may not be perceived as whatever the sport is that this parent is referring to, may not feel sport-ish. It may be, just trying to gain the stripes and the respect of those people who are watching. Because a lot of times it's not when the gym is full, it's when it's empty. And then you don't know who or where it may come from in terms of the attention garnered. But
mhm,
you have to always present and be your best self and do those things, maybe those softer skills. May not be the best basketball handler or the furthest football thrower or any of that, but those other soft skills where people need that to round off their team.
mhm.
You could be embarking on an opportunity by just talking to your kid and saying, it may take a longer process. It may not be freshman year. It might be senior year. I think Jordan was recognizing his senior year for the great things that he did, but it's just that patience and just always feeling like you're going to present and be your best self
Mhm.
and always be ready. Again, the training is going to be pivotal in this because you have to make sure. I will say it 1,000 times, when preparation meets opportunity is when things happen. It's not always when it's straight on and people are coming at you. It may not happen that way. Somebody might get injured. I'm not wishing that on anyone's team, but you may have that, and now it becomes an opportunity for your kid just because they were in the gym. They were
Right.
working hard. They were committed. They were dedicated. They were doing what they needed to do off the court, on the field, off the field. They were just being that well-rounded person with the goal of, you said the why earlier. Why am I doing it? Because I want to be. It may not be where you're at right now, but it's that vision that you have for yourself. Important to set that goal. And then once you set the goal, nothing stops you. Your ceiling is limitless. So I say a walk-on, a D3, a JUCO, a D2, it's hard work.
Right.
It's perseverance. It's getting to a space where you put your mind to say, I can do this and I will. And then the why becomes why not?
Why not? Why not? Thank you. Thank you.
I like that. I like that, Doc. That was great. I mean, yeah, that what you said is checked all the boxes. It's in terms of the walk-on situation and understanding what it is that's required. And because I think the first thing that you opened with is the level of humility that you have to are going to have to deal with, because maybe at some point you were that guy or the girl, right? And now you're absolutely not, right? If we know that walk-ons don't even travel, right? They don't even travel. So to answer that person's question, the walk-ons, when they're going wherever and they're jumping on a flight to wherever, they're not going. So that's a tough pill to swallow, and you have to really have the mental toughness required to deal and climb that ladder to where it is that you're eventually in a situation where maybe you're potentially earning a scholarship. So yeah, I think, like you said, humility and mental toughness is key in that situation.
Agreed.
Agreed. We are coming towards the end. I wanted to give our audience here an opportunity to ask a question. Does anybody have a question for our moms? You can go ahead and take yourself off mute or raise your hand. And does somebody have a question? Nope, nobody has a question.
Nobody has any questions. Everybody has it all figured out. Because I don't even have it all figured out. So, but I mean, look, y'all don't need to be shy. The reason that me and Kim want to do this, because we want to be more than just training. We don't want to just train athletes bigger, stronger, faster. That's like I tell you guys all the time, that is absolutely the easy part for me. That's easy. I could do that in my sleep, woke, whatever, however you need me to do it. But the part that is necessary is this, being informed as to what we need to do to pursue our process. Because everybody's process will be different, right? Everybody's process is going to be different. Everybody is going to have a different path. And I don't want to just train you. I want to inform you, right? And I want you to understand that you coming and becoming a part of what Gorilla Prince is all about is understanding that we want more for you, right? Doc, you said more, you just said the plan B, right? I want more for you. But how that happens is that we continuously have the conversation about what our plan is. Okay, we want to go here to the next level. Okay, and what else? What else are we going to do? How are we going to figure this out, right? Because no one is investing the way that we're investing and asking parents to invest just to kind of, die out at the end. That's not what we're doing here. We're here because we really do want to see success. And in order for success to happen, it's going to be, it's all hands on deck for success, right? It's not just, like I'm halfway in, I'm halfway out. No, we're all in on the success. And in order for us to get to success, there's going to be some discomfort, right? We understand that it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable, right? And this is what why we're in the gym at 3:45 in the morning. It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for everybody involved. But the reality is on the other side of that discomfort is your success. So accept the 3:45 a.m. workout. Your success, the success doesn't happen tomorrow. The success happens 4 or 5 years from now when you need to be somewhere or do something, and that's not a big deal for you. That's where the success happens. Because why? You've been prepared. Right? Where there's great preparation, there are no great difficulties. The Prince, Niccolo Machiavelli. I'll quote it 100 times. I keep it at my desk. I don't play. I keep it at my desk. Where there's great preparation, there are no great difficulties, people.
Right.
What'd you say?
Selma has
a question.
Yes.
Selma has a question. Go ahead, Selma.
We're used to Derek, so I was gonna let him keep going, but so my name is Selma Mgawe. I am the mother of Samad Brown. He is a rising senior at the Taft School and a football player. So my question would be, just given your experience with your children and your student athletes, what would you do differently knowing what you know now?
Yeah, I would invest more earlier in resources for him. I think earlier on, he didn't understand the importance of getting into the weight room, and he didn't understand the importance of nutrition, and he definitely didn't understand about recovery. And so all those things I would focus a lot more earlier on. And that would mean supporting him and making sure that outside of going to school and playing football, because I think sometimes when you'll see for high school, they only focus on, playing the game and kind of winning. It's not a lot of support and technique. And I mean, it's a great environment, but they just don't have the time,
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing negative about them.
No. They just don't have the resources either.
They just don't have the time or resources. And so having another side to supporting him while he is still going to school, I would do that. And also, what we did later on when we had to all change our lifestyle and the way that we ate to support him, because it just wasn't fair. Like we couldn't have McDonald's and he's sitting around just having, you know, non-carbs. It just didn't work. Like we all had to be on the same page. And so I don't know if your child is doing additional stuff, but I would learn more of getting him to focus on the lifestyle of being a student athlete, as opposed to just going to school, playing football, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a great point. You know, just to add a little bit onto that, when you're playing at the elite level, Yas made a great point. They expect the coaches, the organizations, the teams, they expect that your kid is coming to them at a certain level. So Derek said it as well. There really is no space for them to go back into, okay, this is an actual training. You know, when we talk about recovery, I'm a big advocate for yoga, finding that balance, and bringing in other modalities to strengthen mentally, emotionally, physically our kids. That does not, it doesn't happen. I know on the AAU circuit, they get together and they practice a little bit, but you're already recruiting kids who are at an elite level. They're at a next level already. So the expectations already built into that process. So we as parents have to do our due diligence early on with the investment and understand that there's a return that can happen if it's through the sport or otherwise. Because my kids, you know, being at institutions that are really high academic institutions, it's giving them 40 and 40, 4 and 40, 4 years for 40 of the rest of the years of their life, right? And 4 years of college that'll take care of them for the other 40 years of their lives, right? So you just have to figure out, it's an investment no matter how you put it. Your kid gets to that elite level, they're recognized for one thing or the other, and they're going to be successful. And that success is your success, because at the end of the day, you want to raise good people, people who are going to contribute to society, people who are going to render some amazing results, and they'll learn it. But we have to invest in them early. I agree 100%. It's an investment.
Thank you.
We have time for one more question, if there is one.
Kyle?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yep.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Kyle. I've known Derek for about 17 years now. I think our kids were, what about
Yep.
second grade, maybe? Second, third grade?
It might be first.
It might have been
Yeah.
first, right.
Might have been first, yeah.
So again, my name is Kyle Cuff. So I'm a former student athlete. I'm actually a dad now, father of 4. So I actually have 3 children that are in sports. So I had a son that committed to Kansas. He's now since transferred from Kansas University and now at Syracuse. Just finished his first year at Syracuse University. I have a daughter, 2 daughters right now, young daughters, both playing volleyball. So I would say that the family is also a competitive family. What I would like to say about this, like I'm noticing, I've been spying throughout this whole time you guys been on the phone. I'm seeing that this might be predominantly people of color on this line, right? What I would like to say is, like, for all those that are on this call right now, this is a big deal, right? Nobody wants us to be a part of an environment that is talking about empowering our young black sons, black daughters. Like, this is like really free game that not many of us want us to be a part of. So the fact that you have a Derek, you have a Kimberly, you have a Dr. Yasmin and Dr. and a Sabbatha here giving us free game. I mean, I think everyone needs to really, really appreciate it and thank the people that's here, because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be getting this knowledge. So that's kind of what I wanted to touch on, really. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Appreciate you, Kyle, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, Kyle
Kyle.
is St. John's alum. you know, he goes all the way back. You know, he played Riverside Church back in the days. So Kyle absolutely, you know, knows the landscape from, you know, way back. But, you know, and to have his son go through the recruiting process, he was at Blair, went to Kansas. So once again, understanding the landscape, right? And putting someone on the path that they need to be on, understanding that academics is key, right? We, you know, going back to what you said, Doc, you know, working on the plan B, right? It's important, you know, and it's these are the things that, you know, we're consistently looking to push. You know, putting this speaker series together, you know, I mean, guys, I'll just tell you really quick how I put this speaker series. You know, I called Dr. Thomas's son. I called Nick because I wanted Nick to do the speaker series, and then Nick was like, "Yo, you need to talk to my mom." And then here we have it. You know, and eventually we're gonna get Nick on, and I want to have your daughter on as well. So I think
she's on. She's
on.
Yeah, she over there. Just right. I didn't want to put her.
Yeah. We're gonna have to do something with her as well. You know what I mean? But you know, where it is that we're talking to the athletes about, you know, their individual journeys, right, and hearing it from their side, and what it's all about and what it's like, because what, you know, like Kyle said, you know, what we're trying to do here is figure out how to give nuggets to parents that don't necessarily understand how to navigate this landscape, because, as you know, like you said, Doc, you know, some people was keeping the blueprint, right? You know, keeping the cards close to their chest. They not letting you know how you supposed to go about it. And so we're absolutely not in the business of that. You know, we're absolutely trying to figure out how it is that we can help as many people as possible and create as many situations as possible. Because at the end of the day, what if everyone on this call creates a situation, then what we are slowly doing is shrinking the wealth gap as a community, right? And in turn, once we shrink that wealth gap, then now we are contributing to our communities in a very different way. And we don't, at that point, as you know, I heard Pharrell not too long ago, then at that point we won't have to worry about who's president, right? Because we will be creating our situations in such a way that we'll have the power that we need.
That's
right. 100%. Absolutely.
That's right.
That's how Yaz and I actually came together with that. Go ahead, Yaz.
I just want to give a closing remark, in just regards to how parents should enter the space. I think the thing that you find about Sabratha and I is that it's a transferable skill for us. Like, so we take what we do every day. You heard our long resumes with our bios or whatever, right? But we take what we do every day and we transfer that skill set over to support our child. And so everything that I do at work, or the type of things that I do at work, whatever the skill set is, I'm not going to go into that part, right? But that is a transferable skill for me to be able to be successful, for me to be able to organize, or for me to put together a project, for me to be able to read people. I mean, just being diplomatic, or being understanding of how to talk to people, or how to write, or how to put together a press advisory, just all those different types of things. I put into that for my child. And so, like, even teaching him interviews, like teaching him how to speak in public, how to present himself, all those different types of things that he's seen or we do every day at home, making that transferable for him, it allows me to be comfortable in my space to support him. You know, being a parent, and specifically a mom, can at times be intimidating in a space, especially in a male-dominated environment. And quite frankly, being a mom at times, sometimes they would prefer to hear from just the parent that is male or the child, or just, just doing what they do. And so just being able to balance that out and support my child and being able to be me and be able to transfer the skill set to advocate for him accordingly. I have to say this in a way that just makes sense to everybody, because sometimes parents just shy away from the process. And I don't want parents to feel like they should. Think about whatever you're good at doing, use that as a transferable moment to be able to bring that and be the best that you can for your child. That being said, there are going to be a lot of opportunities and projects that you can do as a teen parent. Maybe coming together to work on an event at a game, or coming together to do that tailgating party, right? I don't know. But more importantly, doing something for your child that you probably didn't think that you'd have to do, but being that you're able to do it because of your own skill set, it works out. So don't shy away, harness your own strength and be successful at it.
Thank you. Thank you. And Doc, any closing remarks from you?
I have to laugh. I'm thinking about what Yaz is saying. So Parker, my 9-year-old, after every game, I interview him. When you think about transferable skills. So I asked him about the game, how he felt, what he thought went well, what didn't go well. But what I'm doing, in essence, is preparing him for his time when he's out there and he has to speak for himself, when he has to advocate. If he wants to end up in front of a mic, he was very uncomfortable in the beginning. And Derek mentioned this, discomfort. It's hard. We don't want to experience it, but it pushes us through to some more successful moments. So now he's a ham in front of the on that mic, in front of a camera. He just goes at it, and he's asking me, "Mom, my interview." So it's just an interview. It's something very simple, but it's something that, as Yaz said, I transferred to make it into something that's going to help him to grow into a strong little individual. And I'm seeing that when nobody else is looking or listening, he's outside bouncing the ball. That kid has got it. I know he's going far. But for the parents on this call, I really, first of all, commend all of you for being here tonight and wanting more information because, again, that blueprint is not openly available. We're still creating our own. But the beautiful thing about Yaz and I is that we are creating an opportunity for folks to not have to necessarily go through all that we went through in sharing our story. Two Sports Moms is what we came up with creatively. We look to continue to share and to be that catalyst in these areas to help other people grow. So it's nothing for us to walk through the door without turning around and pulling others through. That's what, that's what I feel like our God-given work is at this point. And you always have to figure that out, right? So I talk about a plan B, what's next? So for the parents on this call, just continue to work hard, continue to be focused, continue to push your kids as much as you push, have balance. And thank you for this evening and allowing us to share. We are available to come out and speak. So please reach out to Kim, reach out to Derek, and a special shout out to Gorilla Prince. Because you guys are amazing and you're doing some wonderful things. Keep doing what you do. We love being part of your journey. Thank you so much for this opportunity from the bottom of our hearts.
Thank you. Thank you for being part of us. We really do appreciate it. Before I let y'all go, just want to let you know we have another speaker series coming up on Wednesday, July 24th. Please join us to welcome Mr. Zach Etter, who is the CEO of Holistic Athlete, and he is also the head of mental performance at UMass Athletics. And that speaker series is going to touch on mental performance, mental toughness, mental fortitude, how to mentally be prepared to go on this journey. So everybody will receive a flyer and a link. Please join us, like I said, Wednesday, July 24th at 6:30 for our next installment of our speaker series.
Just before we get off, guys, I met Zach at a Nike conference in Connecticut, and talking about everything in terms of all of the things that mentally that athletes have to deal with, especially at the collegiate level. Work, home, practice, and all of that, all of those things weighing down on them, and how that can mentally, erode them to some degree, and how to combat that, and all of the things that, he was pulling up, and it was just amazing. And so I reached out to him and said, hey man, I have to have you speak to my parents. And so I'm really excited about just all of the speakers that we're going to have. Yasmin, Doc, this is great. Thank you so much for doing this. I hope everyone here got something from this. If you still have questions, please.
Yeah, how can they reach out to you? Do you have
please, guys, put your emails in the chat.
I put our emails in the chat.
Okay,
Fantastic.
Okay, great. So that, but we want to continue this conversation, right? Because like you said, Doc, people are keeping the blueprint, right? And so you may think that you're in a part of the blueprint, and you were never even on. You weren't even on the page, right? They had you someplace else. And
That's
so
it.
we just want to keep our people informed and on the right path, and making sure that we pursue this the way that we need to, and continue to empower and enlighten people that are trying to navigate this space.
Yeah.
And so I want to thank everyone for your continuous support of Gorilla Prince. Me and Kimberly, thank you. And thank you guys for coming out.
Yes, thank you.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good night,
night.
everybody.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Hey
Take
there.
care.
All right.